I have found to be most inspiring to me. So often, our work in communications can become so challenging and frustrating that we sometimes feel discouraged. She also said, God doesn't require us to be successful, but to be faithful. As we meet today for our 9th annual general meeting, I am happy to say that our 9 years of work, discussions, agreements, disagreements, and prayers have reached the stage of realizing our mission. To promote and foster Catholic communications for the new evangelization in the AEC region. That's our vision, our mission. And our vision that by 2020, Catholic communications in every diocese of the AEC, as missionary disciples on fire with the Holy Spirit, will utilize communication technologies to promote an authentic encounter with Christ. That's in your statutes. The annual Board of Directors meeting of SIGNIS World. The annual Board of Directors meeting of SIGNIS World took place in Trinidad on May the 25th, 2015, a few days before our 2015 AGM. I was invited by the President, Mr. Gustavo Andujar, to address the Assembly on behalf of SIGNIS Caribbean. In my address to the Assembly, I gave them an idea of how the Caribbean was made up and the number of dioceses. At that time, last year, the membership consisted of 11 dioceses and 4 Catholic organizations. I explained that SIGNIS Caribbean worked closely with the AEC, and that body was represented on the SIGNIS Caribbean board by Bishop Jason Gordon and Father John Pusod. They were very impressed by this, as I was told afterward, as SIGNIS ALC, to which we are a sub-region, had no clergy or bishops involved. I explained that we communicated by monthly virtual meetings and shared news and events happening in each diocese. We were then able to copy certain approaches to evangelization from each other. For example, the AEC bishop's statement on marriage. We each communicated this in different ways and shared this online so that we could imitate one another in the approach for that. I mentioned that in spite of lack of funds and the distances between each diocese, we were determined to help with evangelization in the region by living up to our mission and vision statements and the aims and objectives of SIGNIS Caribbean as stated in our constitution, which I recounted for them. I specified that in order to have more training workshops, we needed funding for travel, etc., for which we would be grateful for their help in putting us in contact with funding sources. My address was met with enthusiasm, and the President and Vice President, who both spoke English, promised to help in some way by sharing information about funding, training, etc. We have not heard from them yet, but I am sure that this will happen in due course. I had previously invited Mr. Gustavo Andujar to be our guest at our 8th AGM, and he responded in the affirmative. The 8th annual AGM. The 8th annual general meeting of SIGNIS Caribbean took place at the Old Seminary of St. John Vianney at Mount St. Benedict, Trinidad, on June the 1st and 2nd, 2015. There were 11 members of SIGNIS Caribbean present at the meeting, 5 representing the diocese, 4 from Catholic organizations in Trinidad, Father John Pusod from the AEC, and Bishop Jason Gordon, our theological advisor and chairman of the AEC Communications Commission. There were 2 associate members present, both from the Diocese of Bridgetown. We had 2 invited guests, Mr. Gustavo Andujar, President of SIGNIS World, and Father Clifton Harris, Chair of the Communications Commission of St. George's in Grenada at that time. As you have seen in the minutes of the 8th AGM, quite a bit of work was done in putting some more flesh on our aims and objectives, led by Bishop Jason Gordon. We broke up into 4 groups with 4 conversations on how to do this. 1, suggestions. 2, new opportunities. 3, managing media crisis. And 4, communications and strategic plan for SIGNIS Caribbean. Many discussions and suggestions followed and were continued on the second day of the meeting. Bishop Jason introduced an action plan with the names of persons who were part of the groups, with the suggestion that we take them back to our diocese and try to implement. I am sorry and disappointed to say that if work was done on these conversations we had, it was not reported. I am confident, though, that some work was done, for I know we are much better at working than reporting. We all know the position in our diocese. Much work to be done and few to do it. This past year for me has been filled with promises, efforts, disappointments, and sadness. I made an effort in Grenada to put together a conference on climate change, which we discussed at that meeting. Heather Pinnock of Jamaica, an expert on the subject, was contacted and consented to help with the secular version of the subject, while Bishop Jason Gordon agreed to speak on behalf of the Church's point of view, read the Pope's encyclical Laudato Si. Unfortunately, we had to cancel the conference as it clashed with the ordination of Bishop Gerard County in St. Vincent. We also planned to have a Eucharistic Congress in Grenada last May and actually invited Bishop Gabriel Malzer of the Diocese of Dominica to give the feature address at the Congress, along with Father Charles Dominic of Barbados and Father Matthew Radway of Trinidad. All three persons agreed, but alas, Bishop Vincent Harris's health took a turn for the worst and he passed away in April. His funeral took place on the very day that the Congress was to begin. I am happy to report, though, that the Diocese of St. Vincent has been very active for the past year. I have received many newsletters from them, which I have passed on to the SIGNIS Caribbean members, giving news of events and works on the evangelization in that diocese. I must congratulate Enrico Deschamps and the Communications Commission for their work. Living Waters Community, Rhonda Mingo, keeps us abreast of their wonderful work in Trinidad via their CAP teams, What's On at LWC. Thank you, Rhonda. Every month is a monthly. Every month we get it and I pass it on. I hope you all get it from me. The captain's What's On at LWC. And Trinity TV channel, as Lisa mentioned, is now on in Barbados and St. Vincent. And we're working on it in Grenada. Now the idea is they have given us permission to use their channel in our island to put on our own television presentations. Right? So we have that, okay. We just, for those of us that have flow in our island, in our diocese, we have to approach them. And I made 3 attempts to approach them. And each time they changed the manager or somebody in Grenada died. So, I don't know. Well, next year when I'm out, maybe I'll get going on that. Okay. Right, but in Grenada, we are still able to see some of Trinity TV's programs on one of our secular channels. So we do make use of it. We must congratulate the Trinity TV on their excellent programs, which must do a great job of evangelization. Thanks to Lisa Bijan. During 2013-2014, we kept in contact with each other via the video conferencing software, WebEx. This worked very well, and as you will recall, we were able to get quite a bit of work done and shared online. This past year, Bishop Jason introduced us to Zoom, which is also a conferencing software, and in my opinion, it is even better than WebEx. I find it clearer and easier to tune in. We have had 2 very good meetings so far for the year, and I'm sure some of you will remember because there were quite a few of us on. Members, I know that the very fact that you were chosen or approved by your bishops to spread the good news in our region says that you are the busy people. The people who already have your workloads filled to the brim and running over. And yet you are filled with enthusiasm for communicating the message that our nations so need in this time of violence, wickedness, confusion, and sitting on the fence. We have said yes, like this morning. You know, it's amazing how God works with the hands holding the Bible, the Word, and Father Clement's choice of readings. He is so present to us, the Holy Spirit, so present. Our youth and young people need to be catechized so badly, and God has handed us the equipment to do this, and we have said yes. After this meeting is ended, may our yes ring out much more by truly making an even greater effort to live out our mission and vision. We must not fear. We will be helped by the one we are all working for. Another of St. Teresa's quotes, if you want a love message to be heard, it has got to be sent out. To keep a lamp burning, we have to keep putting oil in it. End of quote. Members, let us not run out of oil. We have got to keep that lamp burning. Thank you very much.